As an industry, we have a problem. There's so much confusion about the names for what we all do. What are the names of the jobs describing how digital gets done? How customer experiences get built? It seems like there's dozens of different definitions for every specialty and subspecialty. The more I look at this, the more I think there's really a bigger picture here that we should be talking about and clarifying together. It seems to me like we keep getting confused about whether we're talking about practices, disciplines, skills, or roles. These are all different things, yet we talk about them as though they're one thing. What I think it really looks like is that a practice contains disciplines, and each discipline holds various sets of skills. And by mixing together those skills in unique ways based on the job needs, you can create the specific role that an organization needs. So, some examples of practices might be content strategy, content engineering, or content operations. These are bigger concepts. And the disciplines inside of them, related to them, connected to them, include taxonomy, semantics, structure, user experience, user journey mapping, and some of those might overlap from one practice to another. Each of those disciplines contains a skill set. These might be working with a particular kind of information architecture tool, or a particular kind of user testing process. So each of these different tactical skills roll up into disciplines, which roll up into practices. They're all connected, but they're separate from titles. So if somebody calls themselves a senior UX copywriter, more power to them. If they need to be a product design content strategist or a micro copy engagement user interface genius, whatever it is, those roles are the combination of skills. So within the discipline of content modeling, for example, someone can call themselves a content modeler if they want to, or they can call themselves a content strategist or a content engineer. They can call themselves the director of user experience. We're starting to see a convergence around the skills and disciplines associated with delivering customer experiences. And those are knit into practices. As an industry, we need to look at what the practices are that we're building digital experiences out of and what the related disciplines are. And how are those disciplines made up of in terms of skill sets? Then once we have those pieces, we can assemble them into roles and titles, and those debates can be had at the organizational level or at the industry niche level. But I think as a whole, it would help all of us involved in the various arts and sciences associated with the delivery and creation of customer experience to have a way to understand those core foundational practices within content and customer experience. A lot of people are looking, it seems to me, for a family tree, but that implies a lot of fixed relationships. To me, it's more like a family forest or an ecosystem with lots of different kinds of growth and manifestations of intelligence that all come together to shape the landscape. But like a forest, I think those can be classified into an overall taxonomy of at least the major life forms. I would plainly state that we should start with content strategy, bolster it with content engineering, and empower it with content operations as the core practices. With those three, content strategy, content engineering, and content operations, they form a foundation out of which many disciplines can fall out. And of course, we have sister practices in design, UX, and others, which each have branches and disciplines within them. All of that is welcome and necessary as we come together to form a much more holistic set of experiences that are built out of all this array of intelligent, creative people collaborating to create those intelligent customer experiences. It's not going to be easy, and it's going to require us to have some logical constructs around these core ideas. So, let's have a discussion. I invite us, as an industry, to bring together our understanding of practices, disciplines, and skills involved into a shared understanding. Whether that's a map, or a model, or a framework, I think it's actually more like a graph, with a lot of interconnected relationships between the nodes of skills and disciplines and practices. And let's form that so we can understand what the career paths are that move through this graph of skills and roles that are formed out of practices and disciplines. It's a big journey, but the only way we get to the future that we're building and the future that we're stepping into and going to inhabit is by having this conversation and connecting our concepts together in a shared space. I'm Cruce Saunders with A, the Content Intelligence Service. You can find us at simpleA.com. I'm looking forward to having this conversation and many others as we engage in a dialogue about the next generation of customer experiences. Until then, let's take one step at a time towards a smarter world.